On his way to school, Hanoka Takamiya takes the bus, and as always, the Princess Ayaka Kagari is on board with him, and her fan club fawns over her. He wonders why he sits next to her and why they've never spoken before. When he drops his eraser, Ayaka quickly gives it back to him. Because of this, the student council members Obama and Kani Hazuki warn him to stay away from Princess. When taking out the garbage, he finds a stuffed bunny inside, saying that buildings might fall down. When he looks up, the school building falls on him, but when he opens his eyes, he is still alive, and in sky as he has saved the Ayaka. Soldier of rabbits appear to fight against Ayaka, but she burns them all. Though Hanoka thinks it's all a dream, she makes sure he has no reason to worry. When he wakes up, he finds himself in her private room within the school and walk home together. The next day on the bus, Ayaka sits next to Hanoka, which makes her fan club jealous, and when they walk to school and in class. While in the hallway, Ayaka's bodyguard attack him again until they're stopped by Ayaka. Even when they have lunch, Ayaka's fan club is jealous when he decides to have lunch by himself. He encounters Tanpopo Kureishi, however she is stopped by Ayaka Tanpopo, then summons an entire army of rabbits, but eventually Ayaka burns the rabbits, forcing her to retreat. The next day, Takamiya's class has new transferred students. Hanoka opens a classroom door to find Ayaka torturing 4 of the evil witches who transferred to their school. The leader of the group, Tanpopo Kureishi, claims that they want to get his white stuff. Suddenly, the 5th transfer student witch kidnaps Hanoka, but does not get far before Ayaka blows them all away with her fire magic. Shortly after the incident, Hanoka goes on a date around town with Ayaka, explaining the conflict between the tower and workshop witches. Then she brings him back to school to meet the chairwoman, her mother, and the leader of the workshop witches in the city, Kazane Kagari. After another quick encounter with Tanpopo's KMM gang, Ayaka begins training Hanoka on how to use his own latent witch powers, including the ability to hide in plain sight and fly on a broomstick. After flying around the town, he uses his powers to intervene and save a little girl from bullies, until Hanoka himself has to be rescued by Ayaka again. Later, as the two of them ride the school bus, they find themselves in the trap of a powerful tower, which named Kronwar Schwarz Roman 6. She subdues Ayaka by injuring Hanoka and using his latent powers of transferring all his damage to her, then gives him a candy that she predicts he will swallow in the future. Ayaka manages to wake up in time and force Kronwar to retreat, but Hanoka keeps the candy. A powerful tower which named Medusa is shown slowly cracking open her supposedly unbreakable prison. Elsewhere, Hanoka's sister, Kasumi Takamiya, starts getting jealous of her brother spending more time away from home with Ayaka. While the KMM gang attempts another plan to kidnap Hanoka by splitting him from Ayaka, Kasumi intervenes on her brother's behalf, using a giant teddy bear to fight the giant tin soldier rabbit that Tanpopo summons to fight her. However, the bear grows so large that its attacks destroy a significant portion of the town while leaving the people unharmed. Afterwards, Ayaka returns, having quickly beaten the tower witches, promising to watch over Hanoka 24/7. Ayaka comes home with Hanoka to ask his mother if he can stay over at her house from now on. Despite her daughter's loud objections, Komachi Takamiya agrees, revealing that she actually had an agreement with Kazane in the past that, because they could not marry each other, their future children would be married to each other instead. Upon arriving at Ayaka's incredibly luxurious mansion, Ayaka and Hanoka find themselves face to face with the escaped Medusa. Ayaka tries to fight her, but Medusa uses magic to turn her into stone. With no other options left, Hanoka swallows the candy that Kronwar gave him before, drawing out the white princess, Evermillion. Evermillion uses her power to beat back Medusa, which ends up destroying most of the mansion and a large part of the school as well, angering Kazane enough to call for a tower witch hunt. Evermillion then reveals that all Hanoka had to do was kiss Ayaka with love to wake her up, which he does. Ayaka then uses her powers to defeat Medusa and the KMM gang again. Later, before Kronwar can launch her evil plan, Kazane captures and then tortures her for information. When Ayaka and Hanoka arrive at school, the science teacher separates Hanoka from Ayaka, using Clark's third law as an excuse. He warns Hanoka that by using the candy, one of 5 seals has been broken, and if he reveals the information to anyone, Kazane might take drastic action. Later, Ayaka uses her semi-official princess position at the school to unilaterally replace the student council president with Hanoka. After school, Kasumi shoots Ayaka with a powerful tranquilizer gun and kidnaps Hanoka to take him out of the city, where Kazane's power supposedly cannot reach. But Ayaka quickly recovers and uses a dragon to shoot down Kasumi and her giant teddy bear plane before they can escape. Ayaka has been secretly keeping Medusa and the KMM gang in her room at Hanoka's house after their last battle. Tampopo tries to quietly kidnap Hanoka, but cannot seem to find the right moment. However, Mei and Kotsu accidentally run into him while coming out of the bath and immediately capture him, provoking a standoff with Kazane as she returns from a shopping trip. Ayaka aligns herself with the Tower Witches to protect Hanoka, and merges with Medusa to boost her power, but ends up losing anyway as Kazane beats Hanoka unconscious before sending both him and Ayaka to a dungeon. Ayaka later borrows some of Hanoka's power to break out, damaging another section of the school to Kazane's despair. Ayaka prepares to fight her mother, but Kazane refuses, demanding the two of them go home instead. Hanoka has a dream of Ayaka's past, where she was a socially stunted little girl to the point that her mother asked two similarly young workshop witches to watch over her. She often spent her after-class time looking for a certain boy at nearby schools until she finally found Hanoka. In the present, Hanoka is forced to deal with a challenge to his authority as president of the student council. The previous president lied to infamous delinquent Rinon Autumn Tachibana that Hanoka physically abused her, and as revenge, Rinon set her entire hamster-themed gang to trash the school before challenging Hanoka to a one-on-one duel. Ayaka tries to help Hanoka fight her at first, but on the day of the duel she cheats to make it appear as though Hanoka won. Later, it is revealed that Ayaka manipulated the deposed president from the start just to reaffirm Hanoka's position at school. Ayaka decides to teach Hanoka about offensive magic, trying to make him summon a familiar by throwing him off the roof of a tall building. In a panic, he ends up summoning a giant image of Ayaka in a sexy nurse outfit that catches the two of them before punching a nearby building. Meanwhile, Kazane discovers a giant magic bomb underneath the city, and meets with a tower witch named Weekend to negotiate, but Weekend simply detonates the bomb, destroying several buildings and exhausting all of Kazane's magic power as she tries to limit the damage. Ayaka and Hanoka are escorted into a cell by other workshop witches for their safety, but a high-tech magic puppet created by Weekend finds them. Ayaka uses the puppet to blow up a section of the wall and break out, but Ayaka remarks that neither of them have their magic power. The workshop witches are in crisis mode as Ayaka and Hanoka emerge to find themselves in a broken city. Without Kazane's powers, the workshop witches in the city are unable to use any magic and no outside help will arrive in time. To make matters worse, Weekend captures a group of workshop witches and straps magical bombs to them, demanding that they hand over Hanoka in 30 minutes, or she will detonate her hostages one by one. While Rinon and Itori try to defuse the situation, Ayaka takes Hanoka down to the core of the city to renew the contract using Hanoka's latent powers. At the very last second, Hanoka completes the contract, allowing the workshop witches to rescue the hostages and capture Weekend. However, after being thrown in a magic nullifying cell, Weekend reveals that she let herself be captured so she could destroy the workshop from within, which she does with more hidden bombs. Hanoka uses his new powers to revive the wounded witches, but Ayaka knocks him out before the strain kills him. As Ayaka lays Hanoka to rest in what remains of his home, Hanoka views several of Kazane's memories. Hanoka then gets word from the science teacher Mikage that they are in an alternate reality created by the city due to the contract Hanoka just made, and takes him down to a shelter where the residents of the city are stuck in suspended animation until they can be safely revived. Suddenly, one of Weekend's underlings attacks Hanoka at the shelter. Meanwhile, Ayaka heads off to fight Weekend herself at a church. However, Weekend uses several bombs she planted around the church to drain Ayaka's power, then captures her using giant monster golems, revealing that she planted the bombs in the city months ago as part of her plan. Back at Hanoka's house, Mikage ends up reviving Hanoka while Itori is attending to him. Mikage then delivers a message that Weekend plans to destroy the shelter unless Hanoka is delivered to her in 30 minutes. Hanoka and Atori race to the scene of a large explosion to find a drained Ayaka, and Hanoka gives her some more power to defeat Weekend before she can destroy the shelter. However, Weekend reveals that she already set off her bomb. As Tanpopo decides to carry Kasumi out from the wreckage, Weekend's bomb wipes out all the townspeople inside the shelter, including Mikage. Hanoka desperately tries to save them, striking a bargain with Evermillion by sacrificing his life to save the town and everyone in it. But Ayaka decides to exchange her life for Hanoka's at the last minute. All of the people and buildings in the city are restored as if nothing happened, including Weekend, who stabs Hanoka with a knife. Weekend decides to have Hanoka healed and acknowledges her defeat, shortly before running into Cranoir. In the restored church, Hanoka, Atori, and Mikage work on a way to bring Ayaka back to life, using some of Hanoka's blood and a kiss. Miraculously, Ayaka regains consciousness. Meanwhile, Cranoir is shown impaling Weekend and most of her underlings on sharp poles when Kazane shows up. Kazane then demands Cranoir hand Weekend over for questioning, but Cranoir responds that Weekend is her dinner, and the two fight each other to settle the score. Later, an unconscious Hanoka and Mikage visit Evermillion as she talks about the renewed contract that Hanoka has formed with her, warning him about the consequences he will have to face if he tries a similar action in the future. As he wakes up, Ayaka greets him at the bedroom door. The two then walk to school when the reformed KMM gang threatens them en route. Even without her magic restored, Ayaka simply grabs Tanpopo and Mei by their faces and squeezes them until the gang submits. This is the end of my video, so please watching all of my anime recap series. Thanks for watching.